Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to check out the new Microsoft Flight Simulator. As few of you might remember, I talked about 3 games I need to play this month, and one of those was Microsoft Flight Simulator. I skipped the Horizon Zero Dawn because I didn't really want to spend money on that. I played that game already on PS4 and I'm just waiting for a better price to check it out on PC. And we still don't know how Baldur's Gate 3 is doing. They are supposedly announcing the release date today when I'm recording this video, but it's going to happen in 2 hours, so hopefully I'll get a first look on Microsoft Flight Simulator and then I'll be able to jump in and see what Larian has to say about Baldur's Gate 3. So let's check it out. I've already installed the game and fired it up for the first time to see if it needs any updates, and it needed update. It downloaded almost 100 of gigabytes of data. Aside from the initial over 100, I guess it's over 200 gigabytes total, and it probably need a little bit more space when I start flying around because I set up the game to stream data from the servers. They are going to stream things like weather, but also some higher resolution textures and so on. And I've also set up a proper graphic options. So I'm playing in 4K, but with game scaling up from 1080p, as I didn't want the frame rate to drop so much. I've also remembered changing the language of the game, but it seems like it ignored me, so without further ado, let's get going. Let's check out the options first and then we try and learn how to fly. I'm gonna play using my Xbox One controller. I've tried it on a keyboard when I was testing the graphical options, but it didn't seem really fun. Like, it might have been I just didn't know how to fly yet because I jumped straight in to the game without going to the flying school first. But people in the reviews have been saying that if you don't have a proper joystick, then you can use controller and it'd be much better experience than trying to play with just keyboard and mouse. The first loading screen is pretty long, but then when you jump into the game, it loads much faster, especially if you use high-speed SSD. And I guess we just jump into the game now by magic of the television or YouTube. Okay, we didn't really have to jump this far because the game loaded instantly after I said we have to jump, and I see it's in English, so it didn't ignore my change of settings after all. And let's just show you first how did I set up the game. So here are some graphical options. As you can see, like I mentioned, it's in 4K, but it's scaling from 50%, so that means it's basically using 1080p to render the game, and I'm playing on medium. Let me not touch my microphone because that's going to generate some weird sounds, but instead let me just turn on fraps. I'm not sure if it be seen in the recording. Right now it's obviously in 60 frames per second, but we'll see how it behaves when we start flying. There's plenty of settings here I didn't really touch. The one that might be important for you, that's also the one that they ask you right when you first fire up the game, is about your data consumption. So you can set up the limit for your data if you have some kind of bandwidth caps or something like that. Just remember that those units here are not megabytes or gigabytes. These are gigabytes, so it's close, but it's a little bit different. So if you want to be sure what number you should put in, then you should probably use Google to convert gigabytes to gigabytes or gigabits, whatever you feel comfortable with. And what else do we have here? We have controls. So the first time I fired up the game, I didn't have my controller set up, but I see it was discovered automatically. And we have the assistance options. So I've just chosen the middle ground option. As you can see, there's 3 presets of options, but then you can like change every and each of option manually. There's 33 of them. And I hope middle ground would be challenging, but also easy enough, because I don't think I ever played Microsoft Flight Simulator. It was always that game that required so much horsepower to run it, and I didn't have the best PC at the time that last one released, and then I never came around to playing it. And the game is available on Game Pass on PC, so if you want to check it out, you can just buy a subscription for a month. If you never had a subscription, or you don't have an active subscription right now, it shouldn't be too pricey. Like, there are even deals when you can buy it for $1 or $2 if that's your first month. So that's pretty easy way to check it out. But game also includes marketplace, so both Asobo Studios and third-party developers can make mods that can be sold in the marketplace. These are like better buildings or different planes and so on. At least at first, maybe along the way we'll see some other more sophisticated mods as well. And I think that's it for the menus for now. As you can see, I have 0 hours put into flying, so let's go into the flight training here. I'm not sure how to do that with my gamepad. Maybe oh, there it is. Yeah. So let's go with flight training. There's few lessons, let's go with the first one. So, training. Get to know your aircraft environment. This training session will familiarize you with the basic controls to spread your wings. Explore different views around the aircraft, pitch and roll the aircraft using the yoke, skew aircraft direction and yaw with the rudder, add reduce power with the throttle. There's many words I don't know here, so let's just check it out. Well, okay, it's still at 60 frames per second here.
I'm your instructor, Captain Molina, but you can just call me Jess. This session, we'll get started with some basic controls. Sound good? First things first, let's get familiar with your surroundings. Don't worry, I've got the stick while you get your bearings. Out your side windows, you can see we have great visibility over Sedona today. This is Red Rock territory. Beautiful, isn't it?
Left, right, up, down. Should I use like arrows? Okay, but I want to use my gamepad. I'm not sure how to do that. I guess I still have to use keyboard even though playing with gamepad. So Control Alt 1 would be saving, then arrest 2. And then Alt 1 I can go back to the camera view I saved. Alt X to focus on airport.
Now that we're oriented, it's your turn. Time to fly this bird. The first control on our training list is the yoke. I still remember my first instructor saying the yoke is like a steering wheel. Almost. Sure, you can turn, but you can also pitch. For starters, it controls the ailerons. And the ailerons, they allow the plane to roll and bank into turns.
Oh, I'm flying! Okay.
Go ahead and try rolling to the right.
To the right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now let's see you level back out.
Okay. I guess that's level. There's a gouge over here, the blue and brown one.
And the elevator affects the plane's pitch, right? Pull back on the stick, the plane starts to climb. Give it a shot.
Pull back and the plane starts to climb.
And altitude.
I don't want to climb this much.
Your speed is decreasing. You could add more power.
How do I add power? Yes, I need more power. Yeah, it seems like I'm having small problems with my camera here, but the game is running fine, so let's continue. I have no idea what I'm doing now. Oh, I can...
Those pedals are going to steer the plane left or right. Up here, they properly align us during turns. Try them out and watch the plane's nose skew to either side.
LTRT, and you can even see that moving, right?
Before we go on, let's bring the plane back to straight up flight. Make sure your dashboard is 3 to 4 inches below
my
the horizon
neck is crazy. I can turn it around right like an owl. Use yoke to straighten
the last thing we're going to
aircraft.
cover now is the throttle. If you have the need for speed, then the throttle's for you. Full control over the power output of the engine. Let's see what happens when you cut all the power.
How do I do that? Decrease throttle. Yeah, but like... What do I press to decrease throttle? Where... How? Exactly. What am I doing? Let's see. Controls, maybe? So, control. Default. Okay, that sounds okay. Throttle. BA. Okay. So what would it just show me right there?
Surprise, surprise. Our altitude is decreasing. This might be a good time for a piloting PSA. Always keep an eye on your surroundings, because nobody likes a low-flying duck. Alright, let's go ahead and throttle back up.
Do I have like a visual confirmation of what my throttle is?
Speed is increasing, and as long as we maintain the same attitude,
oh, here it is.
Will keep
nice.
Climbing too. You're really getting the hang of your controls. You left the training airspace, you need to go back. You're really getting the hang of your controls. Before long, you've left the training airspace, you need to go back.
I'm trying to go back, come on.
Before long, you won't even need a co-pilot.
I don't have
Until
one,
then,
really.
if you want help with the radio or checklists or simply flying the plane, I'll be here. You can pass me the controls when you're ready to finish your session, or keep flying. It is a great day after all.
Ctrl-Alt-X to delegate controls.
Alright, I have control. Good job.
Okay, I guess I can fly a plane now. And I'm touching my microphone again, so the sound will be terrible. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to put it up closer to my mouth so it's easier when I'm editing the video and I don't have to deal with that much noise. And you can also hear me much better this way. So let's go with the next training, right? Yeah. There's next training over here. Do you want to go to the next activity? Yes, of course. So, oh, there's airspeed indicator. The second one I've already noticed. That's altitude indicator, altimeter. Have no idea what's that. Turn and sleep indicator. Nothing. Heading indicator. Yeah, that's compass basically. And there was a seventh one I didn't read. But we have next lesson ready.
Today we're talking about attitudes of flight, how your plane is oriented relative to the horizon. If you look outside, you can see the cockpit is just about 4 inches below the horizon line. We're flying straight with a decent rate of speed. This is the cruise attitude. Let's see how it reads on your instruments.
Control 1.
Take a look at the attitude indicator. As the name implies, it shows your current attitude. The white line is the horizon, with the sky above and the ground below.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Horizon, that's your plane. Just like we saw outside, our current attitude reads pretty much straight and level. Okay, now let's see how much power the engine's generating. Check your tachometer.
Tachometer. Which
Looks
one
like
is
we're
it?
pushing around 2,300 revolutions per minute. Combined, attitude and engine RPMs translate to aircraft performance. Which leads us to your airspeed indicator.
I have no idea where the 23 revolutions
now, last but not
is.
least, check your altimeter. To figure out your altitude, you always want to read the small needle first. That's how many thousands of feet up you are. Then on to the big needle for the hundreds.
Really? Isn't there like a
With
digital?
our current attitude and power output, we're holding a speed of 90 knots and a stable altitude of 6,000 feet.
Okay,
But
6,000
that's about to
feet.
change.
I see
Take the
that.
stick when you're ready.
But where's the like 23 that she mentioned?
Pull back slightly on the yoke to raise the nose just above the horizon line. About 2
Okay.
inches. Make sure you don't pitch up too much, or the angle will be too steep to create lift. And without enough lift, we'll stall. Alright, go full throttle and start climbing.
A, was it? Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to the climb attitude. See how it shows up on your attitude indicator and tachometer? According to your altimeter, we're gaining altitude. But we're losing airspeed even at full throttle, proving you can't avoid basic physics while making a climb.
Yeah, duh.
Okay, before we go on, let's get back to a cruise attitude. Ease up on the yoke and aim your nose just below the horizon. Then throttle back down to 2,300 RPMs.
Okay, I really need to see where the...
Nice job. We're now set up with the
23
same attitude and power we had at the top of our lesson. Next up is the descent attitude. Start by reducing your RPMs to 1800. Then drop the plane's nose a bit further below the horizon. As expected, with a nose-down attitude, our altitude is decreasing, while our speed is picking up.
I really don't see where my
Why don't you
RPMs
get
are.
us back to a cruise attitude?
It's probably
and we'll hit the last part of our lesson.
Is that... Okay! It wasn't right under my nose, it was on the second pilot seat. So, what am I doing now? Increase to 2300 and just below the horizon. Okay, I'm doing that.
There we go. Now that we know how to cruise, climb, and descend, let's talk about the turn attitude. Gently pull the yoke left or right to start rolling the plane. If you take a look outside, you can see how our attitude's changed, but you can also check your instruments for the details. As a general rule, you always want to keep your turns under 30 degrees.
Do I have
At the top
degrees
of your
marked
attitude
here?
indicator, there's a series of notches representing 10 degrees each. Use them to control your roll. Notice the more you turn, the more you need to pull back on the yoke to maintain altitude. When you're rolling out, you'll need to do the opposite. Roll and push at the same time. The more you know about the main attitudes of flight, the closer you get to that pilot
What was
state
it?
of mind.
Control
So
1?
keep practicing, and whenever you're done, pass me the controls.
Okay, so I guess that's like 10 and that's 20 degrees. And something happened here. I mean, I guess I can try and do a barrel or something like that. Or maybe later. Let's go with another lesson now.
Thanks, I've got control now. Well done.
Okay, and to the lesson number 3. Takeoff and level flight. Takeoff should be easy enough. I'm probably going to get to landing soon, and that might be a bit difficult. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Ready to fly.
There's
Okay.
an old saying I like. A mile of road will take you a mile. A mile of runway will take you anywhere. Taking off isn't hard, but there are a few key points to remember. First, we always take off into the wind, which won't be an issue on a calm day like today. Second, before we enter a runway, we always make sure it's clear. Everything looks good, no cross traffic. Go ahead and taxi into position. The rudder pedals should make steering the plane pretty easy.
Okay, parking brakes. Align the aircraft. A little bit more speed, maybe. Why is it like this? I want a little. And there's 0% or 100%. I'm going off, I'm going off, I'm going off, I'm going... No, 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 no. Okay, stop, 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 stop.
Alright, let's do this.
Oh,
Apply full power
I did
and
it.
I'll walk you through the takeoff as we
That
go.
wasn't as easy as I expected. Increase throttle. Okay.
Use your rudders to stay on the center line and keep pushing
Forgetting
power
that I
until you
should
reach
use
55 knots.
LTRT instead of the left stick. 55 knots. Okay, with a
Now
40.
gently pull back on the yoke.
What? 50.
Line up the top of your instrument panel so it's a couple inches above the horizon. That'll pitch us up and set a good climb attitude. And we're airborne. Focus on flying straight. Use your rudders to keep the runway heading of 210 degrees. Maintain 75 knots, and we'll reach our target altitude of 5,500 feet in no time.
75 knots? I'm on like 40. That doesn't add up. And also she said something about heading, and I have... Oh, there's the heading. 23 or something like that. 22 maybe. And what's the altitude? Oh, I'm climbing slow. Am I climbing at all? Right, so was it the short one or the big one first? The short one is the thousands, right? Why are you... What am I doing wrong here? I am losing speed. I am definitely losing speed here. I feel like I should have done something else to make this plane faster. Oh my god, I'm not climbing at all. Like, look, I can still see every building from up here. And it's making that sound again. Please don't. Please just let me climb. I should have turned off the vibration on my controller, because my microphone is probably picking it up and you'll hear that. But at least it means it's working, right? Stop beeping at me! Well, oh, I did climb already, so... Like, where's the second arrow? Oh, I see, the short one is here on 5.5 and the long one is the... Okay, I get it now. So now I just need to level up and get to 75 knots. Oh, there's plenty of cars there. $60. Why am I losing speed again? Come on, full throttle. And I'm below 5,500 feet now. Ugh. Come on, let's maybe try it like that. No, I know what I do. I go above 5,500 and then I try and dig my nose straight into the ground to have the needed speed. So let's go above. I'm not doing that well here. Let's just level out. And I'm getting speed. And I also see that my camera losing frames. Okay, I fully restarted my phone, which is my camera. Let's hope it will behave nicely now. And let's get back to trying and getting my altitude and my speed. Let's start button for resume. Okay, I'm not gonna touch anything, just my gamepad is right there, and let's see if that works. Maybe the plane can just fly by itself. And it's losing speed. And it's turning. Ugh. Come on! Okay, let's try and put my nose down a little bit. Maybe even more than a little bit. Just to get to those 75 knots, yep. And now I'm below 5,500 feet, so the idea was correct, just I need to climb higher. So let's try and do that. I should have been probably listening more to my instructor instead of talking to my microphone here and to you guys, but well, that's over now. Let's just try to climb up again a little bit more. I don't feel like I'm climbing really, like I've hit some altitude that I can't go above. Okay, now level out the plane and let's see where that gets us. That's 60 knots easily, but 75 it feels like it's not doable here. Maybe I have my landing gear not hidden and I should done that? I don't think though that's the case, because that's pretty small plane here. Oh, it's 70 almost. I was almost there. I have no idea what I've done because I wasn't looking at the screen. And under 55. Let's climb again. Let's climb more. Too much. Let's get a little more speed. Climb again. A little more speed. Climb again. Okay, I'm well over 5500 now. I guess I can just put my nose down and get the needed speed. Maybe not that much down, just level out the plane. I'm still losing altitude and I'm not gaining any speed here. What the hell? Okay, let's just try that. Faster. Yeah.
Feet, a nice safe altitude for part 2 of our lesson.
What
Straight
the hell?
level flight.
That was supposed to be
First
easy.
step here is adjusting our attitude. We're in a cruise attitude, pushing max power. To stay level at our target altitude, let's start by easing the throttle back to 1800 RPMs.
Okay, 1800. A little bit more. The throttle control doesn't really feel responsive, like there's a delay between I push the
Probably
button.
noticed, to maintain altitude, you need to pitch the nose up. You could just keep pulling on the yoke to hold steady, but that's not really a precise means of control. Probably better to adjust your trim wheel until you don't need to push or pull on the yoke. Drag the trim down when you need to set the nose up. Drag it up to set the nose down. Try adding trim to keep us at 5,500 feet without increasing throttle. If you feel our pitch slipping and need to get back to the proper attitude, don't worry. Just pull on the yoke, then dial in the right trim.
Okay, so I need Y and... Oh... No, 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 no! Y and arrow. Which arrow? Down or up? Down. Okay. Okay, too much. A little bit too much. And I guess... that's fine. But now I still need to climb, because I'm definitely too low here. At least they don't need me to maintain 75 knots this time around. So it'll be much easier. Come on, climb! Climb! Stop beeping! Why are we not climbing? Please climb. Okay, seems like we are climbing a little bit here. And now it's beeping again. Okay. I guess we are at 5,500 feet now. At least close enough. But I want a little bit more just to be on the safe side. Just stop beeping. Okay, that should be enough. Now let's see about that trim. I need to add a little bit more. Okay, I guess it's level, and now we can dial back the throttle a little bit. Not that much,
The way I was
probably.
taught, when you adjust the trim, you make rough changes at first to remove pressure on the yoke, then small adjustments to find the perfect setting to keep your desired attitude. That's the key to straight and level flight. It saves you from constantly pushing or pulling on the yoke. And that gives you more time to enjoy the ride. If you want more practice using the trim, go for it. Whenever you're ready to pass the controls, I'll be here.
I don't really get what changes when I do the trim wheel. Like, is there a dial here or something like that? It doesn't seem like that. Let's see up close. Oh, there's trim, so yeah, I'm moving that. Okay, so at least I have a visual confirmation here. And it seems like I'm flying straight. Maybe a little much lower than I should, but it's fine. Let's just
Okay, I have control.
get to the next
Enjoy the
lesson. Okay, landing. I didn't expect taking off to be that hard, so landing might surprise me even more. Let's hope it will be a nice surprise, not a bad one. Ready to fly.
My first instructor used to say the best part of flying is landing in one piece. The man was a terminal pessimist, but he wasn't wrong. Today, you're in charge of bringing us in for a safe landing. We've got clearance for a straight-in approach, so we don't have to complete the standard traffic pattern. And I've already set us up in landing configuration, at 65 knots with 10 degrees of flaps and idle power. We're on the glide slope now. Maintain speed around 65 knots. Change your pitch if you need to, and keep your aim point on the runway number. When you're targeting the runway number, you want to keep it steady in your sights. If it looks like the number's moving up in your windscreen, you're coming in low. You'll need to add a bit more throttle to get back on the slope. If it looks like the number's moving down in your windscreen, well, then you're too high. You'll need to add flaps to increase your rate of descent, but you'll also need to push forward and trim to change your attitude and maintain the same speed.
F8. What did it do? Also, can I just add a little bit more trim instead of having to push that manually? Okay, a little bit too much. That seems like about correct amount of trim. I'm going pretty slow though. I'm not sure if I shouldn't go a bit faster here. What are flaps? And I should...
Keep your aim point on the runway threshold. When
Yeah,
you're 10 feet above the
exactly
runway,
that.
it's time to flare. Once we pass the threshold, shift your aim point to the end of the runway. Then, pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it.
I'm not going to make it.
Okay, we're past the threshold. Start the
I'm not
flare.
going to make it. I'm not going to. Yeah, if only damage gear was. If only landing gear was damaged here. I don't think that anyone survived that. So the speed
My
was
first
too
instructor
low
used to
here.
say, the best part
Okay,
of flying
let's
is
go.
landing in one piece. The man was a terminal pessimist, but he wasn't wrong. Today, you're in charge of bringing us in for a safe
let's
landing. We've got
go
clearance
with
for a straight-in
trim.
approach, so we don't have to complete the standard traffic pattern. And I've already set us up in landing configuration at 65 knots with 10 degrees of flaps and idle power. We're on the glide slope now. Maintain speed around 65 knots. Change your pitch if you need to, and keep your aim point on the runway number. When you're targeting the runway number, you want to keep it steady in your sights. If it looks like the number's moving up in your windscreen, you're coming in low. You'll need to add a bit more throttle to get back on the slope. If it looks like the number's moving down in your windscreen, well, then you're too high. You'll need to add flaps to increase your rate of descent, but you'll also need to push forward and trim to change your attitude and maintain the same speed.
Should I do that now? It made me. Okay, I don't think I should have done that the first time I tried that. Just let's try and land without flaps, or maybe use them further on. I've got 65, 70 knots here, so it should be okay. I'm seeing the number. I'm a little bit to the right of the runway, so I should get straighten up here. Okay,
Keep
it
your aim point on the
seems
runway
fine.
threshold. When you're 10 feet above the runway, it's time to flare. Once we
10
pass the threshold,
feet.
shift your aim point to the end of the runway. Then, pull back
What do
slightly
you
on the
mean by
yoke to
flare?
aim the nose just above it.
Okay.
We're too high to land. SOP dictates we go around and try our approach again. Don't worry, you'll get it with practice.
I'm not really sure what height am I supposed to do here. Like, I'm seeing the measurements, but I cannot read them yet properly that fast. So
My first
let's
instructor used to
focus
say,
on
the best part
those.
of
So
flying
we are
is landing
like
in one piece. The man was a terminal pessimist, but he wasn't wrong.
7,800
Today,
feet.
you're in charge of bringing us in for a safe landing.
Oh,
We've
there's
got
it.
clearance for
There
a
it
straight-in
is.
approach, so we don't have to complete the standard traffic pattern. And I've already set us up in landing configuration at 65 knots with 10 degrees of flaps and idle power. We're on the glide slope now. Maintain speed around 65 knots. Change your pitch if you need to, and keep your aim point on the runway number. When you're targeting the runway number, you want to keep it steady in your sights.
I've already heard that
If it looks
twice.
like the
It's
numbers
okay.
moving up
I'm
in your
keeping it
windscreen,
steady.
You're coming in low. You'll need to add a bit more throttle to get back on the slope. If it looks like the number's moving down in your windscreen, well, then you're too high. You'll need to add flaps to increase your rate of descent, but you'll also need to push forward and trim to change your attitude and maintain the same speed.
I'm not sure about those flaps. Let's wait with them. Okay, so what's my height? It's like 5,500 feet. I guess I'm going to do the flaps thing.
Keep your aim point on the runway threshold. When you're 10 feet above the runway, it's time to flare. Once we pass the threshold, shift your aim point to the end of the runway. Then, pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it.
That can't be right. How am I supposed
Okay,
to...
we're past the threshold. Start the flare. Keep pulling back slowly. Let the plane settle onto the runway. Don't push it down, but don't let it start climbing. Nice. Now apply the brakes to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop.
But I'm not sure how am I supposed to tell how high above the...
As they say, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. But if you can use the plane the next day, it's outstanding. Landings can be hard, even for seasoned pilots. Trust me, don't hesitate to practice. After all, that's what we're here for, right?
So I landed the airplane just fine, but the problem is that the landing strip is like on 5,500 feet. So I had no idea how to measure those 10 feet that she was talking about, and when to start a flare on, how to tell how high I really was. So I'll finish it here and I'll pick up the lessons on the next video. If you like to see more of me struggling with flying planes on Microsoft Flight Simulator, then let me down in the comments below. And if you don't want to miss any more of my videos, subscribe to the channel with the little bell right in the right bottom corner, just below the video. And see you around. Have a great day!